So you definitely do have mold growth in the attic. Well, we'll start with you as well. Mold growth is not a health issue. It doesn't affect the air quality in the house. Warm air always rises. So, and in fact, it was very warm up there today. So that has no effect on the air quality. All we care about is structural integrity and potential resale value. Those are the big kickers. What's causing it in your attic is probably that improperly designed ridge vent. In fact, let me grab a photo of it. I can show you. There's my camera right here. You can see what I'm talking about. Now, you said the roof was redone
by Jorvie.
Okay, and how long ago?
I thought 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, they tore out, they replaced some plywood, they totally restructured the whole roof.
Oh, did they really? Okay.
Oh yeah, they took out what they thought was bad plywood, they took it all down.
Okay.
We spent a lot of money on it.
So if they took out the bad plywood, I guess that raises the question of whether the mold we're seeing now is from that growth, from beforehand, or is it?
Sure, it's from beforehand.
Or is it from recent?
It's, I mean, we put the top of the line roof on the thing.
Well, the quality of the roof has no effect on whether or not you'll get mold growth.
Oh.
Yeah, and I can tell it's a very quality roof when I went up there. But that has no impact on whether or not you get mold growth. All depends on ventilation.
Okay.
So, if you look at, this is, that's what you see up there. It's your standard gray and black mold growth.
Yeah, I've looked up there.
Yeah, and you don't think they would have replaced that? When you said they replaced damaged plywood, you don't think they would have replaced those pieces?
No. The ones I replaced, I think, were on this roof line up here.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense, because these areas always do the worst. So, let me get a photo of it. I took a lot of photos, evidently. Well, long story short, cutting that back's not cheap, because they have to rip the whole ridge vent off. Okay, that's the gap. It should be like 3 times as big as that. So that's the issue. You've got this wonderful ridge vent, but you don't really have enough cutback for the air to escape out that. So there's 2 solutions. Either pull the ridge vent off and grab a skill saw and they cut it back. That part goes pretty fast, but the lineal foot charge of putting in new ridge vents, it's
for what Jorvie charges, they should come out and do it for nothing.
Well,
with a smile on their face.
Yeah, if Jorvie is, if they're still around, I haven't kept track of.
Oh no,
they're always restructured, so
they're the frontline roofer.
Okay. Well, I would definitely call them back, point at this, and say, "You guys screwed up. You need to put a new ridge vent in."
Yep.
Whether or not they do that, that's one question. But the manufacturer has a code of how much you're supposed to cut it back, and I guarantee it's way more than what they had. I can look it up for you. So if they do it for free, you're good. Now, because you have the ridge going this way and then this roof line coming in, that means half of your attic can't have any soffit vent, right? Because this roof line is hitting where you should have all the soffit vents. Again, that's normal when you have a house with this type of architecture, but it does mean you got to find another way to vent the attic, and it does mean that you need the ventilation that's in place to be as good as possible, right? So you're already at a big deficit because you have 50% of the soffits totally inaccessible and can't work. So you need the other side to really be working properly. Now, if Jorvie says fly a kite, and yeah, the cost is fairly expensive, then what you could do is say, all right, well, we're going to focus on venting the interior a lot better. And what that means, if you ventilate the inside of the home better, that dries out the air, and that means the air that does make it into the attic, it has much less moisture content in the first place. So therefore, there's much less moisture to condense out, and you don't need as good a ventilation. Higher-end houses that have kind of complicated roof lines, that's often the solution, because you just can't, especially houses that have highly peaked roofs, where you don't have much ridge area to get a vent. What are you going to do? You have to just focus on the ventilation and air sealing.
Can you not also invoke a mechanical solution with a hydrostat and an attic fan?
You can. The hydrostats don't work very well. The fan, the only companies that make fans for the attics, the quality is really low. So we used to do them, and you'd always get a call back within 6 months or a year saying it's rattling, it's noisy, or it's broken. Nobody makes a decent one, and they're always a little noisy. So it's better to focus on the interior ventilation, because you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You improve the ventilation of the house, and you limit the moisture in the attic in the first place. And they're much quieter in that case. And they're meant to run 24 hours a day so that you won't have any maintenance issues. The attic fans almost always have maintenance problems.
Gotcha.
So those are the two options. I would first go after a Jordan and say, you made a mistake. You need to come back here and redo your cutback. I'm not sure. I don't know them well enough to know how well they'll stand behind that point. So treating the attic mold is fairly straightforward in this case. It's just a two-stage treatment, and it'll be left clean and free of mold growth going forward. It'll be very obvious if anything comes back.
Okay, what is the prescribed treatment?
For this type of case, because it's the black type that's stained, again, this isn't black mold in the case of, oh, we need to find out what type of mold it is and we're concerned with the health effects. It's just black mold stains the wood. So even, let's say this was dealt with 5-6 years ago, it looks the exact same. Dead mold from 10 years ago looks the exact same as mold from 10 days ago. That's the frustrating part about it, is that it will still kill, home inspectors will flag it, it'll still kill the deal. So when you have black mold, you kill it first with the first stage spray, and then you encapsulate it with a white encapsulant after that. There's no sense in sanding or wire brushing or anything like that. The access is too tight to really pull that off. And again, it's not a health issue, so encapsulation is a more effective solution.
Should we treat it before, are you saying you should decide what you're going to do about the ventilate, or to treat it first? Or?
Oh, yeah, it doesn't really. This time of year, it's warm enough that it doesn't really matter. Like, it's completely dry up there right now.
Right.
One day like this, completely dries out the sheathing. If it was 2 months ago, then you can't do the encapsulant until it's dried out. So you'd want to do the ventilation first and then wait several weeks for it to naturally dry out. But with this weather, it's totally dry. And especially the house. Are you guys living here right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So if the moisture meter showed all dry, so I don't think it'd be a problem.
Okay.
The moisture meter won't pick up the amount of condensation required to cause mold growth, but it will pick up the amount of moisture that would be problematic for us to seal it in with an encapsulant. So you didn't have enough from that standpoint.
Okay.
You look at the nails, there are tons of nails that have rust, and there are nails that don't have any, which is often a sign that this problem's been dealt with in the past, and we're looking at old mold growth. The trick is, again, there's no way to discern that. If they had replaced some sheets up there, it'd be really obvious, because you'd see a clean, nice sheet of plywood.
It was in the cathedral ceiling.
Yeah, so there's no reference point, because it's pretty uniform up there in that section. Do you remember what these sheets looked like when they replaced them?
No, I think they charged us for 3 or 4 sheets of plywood.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
not
Isn't a
much.
lot, yeah.
These sections always get damaged far quicker than the main part, because you have a very little airspace, and usually they don't ventilate these cathedralized ceilings very well. So that's pretty normal that they had to replace them. The reason I ask is if we knew that they replaced them at this type of level of mold growth, then we could make the assumption that it was much less.
No, I think it was around the skylight here, because we had a leak issue on the skylight, and they replaced the skylights, they replaced everything, and they replaced the plywood too.
Around the skylights?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because of the skylight here, we had,
Okay.
on the original construction, we had an issue with it, but the new ones, they've been great.
Okay. And that's still in this section of it, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Not the skylights up in the
No.
main part,
No.
those have been fine?
Yeah, they've been fine.
Okay. Well, the good news is the square footage of area is pretty darn small. Because this whole area doesn't count, right? So the amount of treatable area is pretty small. If worse comes to worse and you've got to replace that ridge vent, it shouldn't be terribly expensive. So I can write up those recommendations for you. We of course don't do the ridge vent. That would be a phone call to Jorve or another roofer if they...
Not Jorvie, if they won't cover it.
Yeah, I would only have to do it if they cover it. Now make sure, I'll put this in the report, but it's got to be, if it comes to that, it's got to be an externally baffled ridge vent. So most ridge vents that are installed now are the other kind, and they're worthless, and you would definitely have much more of a problem. So it is important that when they reinstall it, they do that, and I'll jot that down for you, so when you call. They've got the right kind, like I mentioned, it's just they didn't cut the plywood back the way they're supposed to. So.
Well, do you have, I mean, I don't even know if you've ever estimated, what are we talking as far as getting it cut back and all that sort of thing? Do you have any
The
idea?
cutback would literally take an hour tops once they pull the ridge vent off.
Okay.
It's just a skill saw, one run on each side.
And then what do they have to do?
And then they just put the ridge vent material back on the roofing.
They're just opening the gap is all they're
Exactly, that's it. You just can't really do it from the inside because you got all the framing in the way.
Well, that doesn't sound like it's.
So it's more the cost of really just replacing a ridge vent. If you were calling a roofer, I'd say you've got.
It sounds like $1,500 to me.
Yeah.
Everything's $1,500. Anything we do something's $1,500.
Every time we go to Arizona, it's $1,500.
Let's see, it's 30. Yeah, per my math, you're at about 35 to 40 lineal feet.
Okay.
So I would call Four Seasons Roofing. We've had good luck with them. They really understand.
Oh, that's the
venting
name of the Four
well.
Seasons? Is the
Yeah.
name?
You give us the name then of somebody that could do it, Jorby won't.
Yeah, that's what I would use. I'll write that down for you. But Four Seasons does really good work.
Good, okay.
Most roofers, it's a weird industry where roofers cause almost all the problems that we see, and they have no responsibility. I don't know why. It's just
Jorby guaranteed it for 50 years, but
yeah.
But I think their roof their craftsmanship or something for 5 years and a roof for 50 or something.
oh, is that
Well-
what it
Something like
is?
that.
Yeah, and it's
Oh.
probably the roof material. I bet if you'll get the fine print
Yeah,
that they
yeah.
warranty,
That makes
rather
sense.
than
The small print.
condensation.
The small
Right.
But how do we know that the gap isn't big enough? We didn't know that.
Yeah.
We'll leave it.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know it's frustrating. Unless your roof literally leaks dripping down
Yeah.
from a roof leak.
We've
they're
never
out.
had any problems
They're
with
not
the
allowed.
roof since Jorby did it.
Yeah.
Other than that one minor issue we had fixed. Yeah, by the chimney. We had
Chimney.
by the chimney, which
Yeah.
we had that.
And Jorby, we called them out, and they said, there's
It's not
nothing
our
wrong with
problem.
it. So they're not gonna take, responsibility for it.
Yeah.
anyway.
Okay.
So I think Four Seasons.
They might.
is-
Don't write it off yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. It's hard to say. Some of the biggest players in town, every few years, they just
Oh, they're the ones that,
they shut their corporation down and rebranded under a new one to get out of all their warranties. So it's a
they,
legacy day.
they respelled the name.
Well,
We're
I'm
no
gonna
longer
have- I'm gonna have
Jorby, we're
words with-
Jervy.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna have words with Dory Monson if that's the case, because he advertises for him. That's why we used him.
Yeah.
And I don't know about Jarvis, I just know some of the other, couple of the other biggest players
Probably
did that
local.
recently.
Yeah.
So, both your solutions are about the same price.
Okay.
To replace both those bath fans would be about $1,200, something
Okay.
like that.
What's with
That's
the bath?
probably-
I missed the part about the bath fans. What's going on there?
So if you want to lower the humidity in the
Gotta make
house, you replace the
Oh,
bath fans
that's
with
the
constant
ventilation.
flow units.
Oh, okay.
And what it does is it
I was gonna ask you,
Exhaust.
what is the reventilating in the
Well,
house?
yeah, it's not really intuitive, but when it's
Oh.
40 degrees outside and
Yeah,
raining,
right.
if you bring that air inside, which what a bath fan essentially does that. You
Okay.
think of it as venting your bathroom, but it puts the whole house under negative pressure. So
Okay.
it's slowly sucking in air from the outside. That air comes in, you heat it up, your
Oh.
air dries out dramatically. So
Can't-
now the air that leaks
Can't
into
use
the
a leaf
attic.
blower to do that.
Yeah, if you don't mind the sound.
But now, is this something that works automatically, or do you?
Yes, it runs constantly at
Oh,
about a
okay.
half speed, about half of its
So you
full
have a
power.
hum going on all the time.
Well, that's why we always tell people to get the Panasonic fans. They're the only fans that are meant to run 24 hours a day, and they
Okay.
call them whisper green. I mean, they're not perfectly silent, but you'd have to really
Really
pay attention to hear them. I'm
Okay.
pretty sound.
sleep?
I'm easily irritated by sounds, and we have one in my house, and I handle it.
So it's one or the other. We get the
One or the other, yeah. I mean, doing both would be overkill. If they come back for some reason and say, "Oh, we can't match that ridge material. It's going to be $3,000." Well, then I would definitely just do the bath fans.
Okay.
Um,
okay.
And vice versa.
So they may have, in order to do this, that you're talking about the vent itself, the outside one, they would have to redo possibly parts of the roof?
The ridge vent. They still
The
make this
ridge
material.
vents. It's this, yeah. It's just it's a
Okay.
separate little piece, and I would be
Oh.
shocked if they could pull it off without ruining it. So they would need to put the new.
Is that plastic thing that's on the top?
Yeah, you have the plastic thing, and then actual roofing material that they nail down on top of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
The
But
plastic
if they
thing
didn't-
they maybe could reuse. I don't know.
If they didn't create a space between the sheets, there's no way for the air to get out.
All right.
Right, right.
So that's the problem.
That
You
is-
should always have the circulation going from the bird block around the perimeter
Mm.
into the attic, and then it, and the warm air vents out, always rises, and exits through the ridge. But if it ain't there, it ain't there.
And,
But
uh,
you-
And you would say that is better than opposed to putting in a bunch of roof jacks?
yeah, I mean, you have to put in a lot because
Yeah.
it's really bay by bay, and the fact that you can tell the ridge vent's not working is you don't have your soffits are only probably once every fourth bay.
Not very many.
Which I like to see them every other, but yours are the full soffit cutout. You know, a lot have a little round circles.
Right.
Most of yours, the whole thing is completely cut out with a mesh. So you're getting massive airflow in that spot, but those areas still are completely covered in mold. Which, you know, what you would expect if the ridge vent was doing its thing, but you didn't have good enough soffit vent, is everywhere you had a great soffit vent, there wouldn't be any mold in that joist bay. And the next one over would have a problem. But it's totally uniform in yours.
So the air's just not moving at all?
So the air's just not moving.
Well, that could have been from prior.
And it could have been from prior. So attics are weird, and I wouldn't, you know, bet the company on that this is definitely actively growing. 2 months ago I could have made that judgment when it was colder out. But right now
it's dead, right?
Well, repeat the part
Dormant.
about mold in the attic is never coming in your house.
Right.
Yeah, because warm air rises in a home, it's called the stack effect. There's no way for those mold spores to make it back down to the house. So, not a health issue. I've taken air samples in hundreds of houses with attic mold far worse than this, and it always comes back spotless. So, we always want to reassure the potential buyers, like, look, this isn't a walk away, this isn't a deal breaker, this is just a structural issue. Make sure it doesn't, if left untreated, cut myself, it will eventually rot your roof out where you have to replace all the sheathing, but it's not a health problem.
Okay.
So I would be just as happy with you doing the bath fan ventilation route too. So if Jorby if Jorby does it for free, best case scenario. If that's a no, I would be just as happy with you doing the bath fan and saying, to the ridge.
So they don't have to do any restructuring, they just replace the motors and the...
They don't have to cut out more of the around the vent?
It's just a matter of putting in new motors and the...
You'd still pull the whole assembly down.
Right.
But there shouldn't, based on the size of yours, there shouldn't be any sheetrock repair. The only time there's really sheetrock repair is if your old fan was really big, right, and the new fan's smaller. But based on what I saw, I doubt that would happen.
Jim could put them in. It wouldn't be a big deal. So when might you have a written report for us?
Oh, I could get it to you by tomorrow.
That would be ideal, because we are obligated to complete an inspection response to the buyer by the end of tomorrow.
So I'll put the model numbers in there.
Well, how
Any
much,
old electrician
how much
can
you
do
the
it.
treatment part? You're going to do the
The
treatment?
treatment's $2 a square foot, so I'd have to do the math.
$2.
$2 a square foot, yeah.
Yeah, only 1 square foot.
Yes. So,
If we do every other square foot, it's...
what did I say it was? It's
I think you said something 30.
35,
Sounds like about a little over $1,000.
1,000 to 15, somewhere in there. I'll crunch the numbers when I get back.
It's about a 600 square foot attic space.
Is it? Okay.
I got a calculator.
Yeah, you're right. It's just over, it's about 600-700, so 12 to 14. I took the measurements, so I'll get it exact. The bath fans themselves are maybe, if you get them from the right place, like 190. So if do you guys have like a handyman friend, something like that? Okay, cool. We can do them, but we don't make any money, and it doesn't hurt my feelings at all.
So then we don't have to have, like if it's a handyman, we don't have to have a certificate.
Licensed guy do it? No.
Right.
Well,
technically yes, but nobody doesn't. Like, you technically have to have a licensed electrician to like do anything more than changing a light bulb, literally. But most handyman will swap out of that van. The only time I see them say, I know you need electricians if you've got like run new power. But you have fans, so it's as simple as a couple of wire nuts. I mean, anybody can do it.
Okay.
But we need either one or the other. We don't need both.
You don't
either
need
the roof vent or the fans.
I'm kind of
So
going
it
for
sounds like
that.
if Jorby doesn't come through, the fans are the next.
That's probably what I do, because the next buyer is going to get, 2 birds killed with 1 stone. They're having a nice brand new bath fans that will help improve the ventilation of the house and will stop the roof.
I think I'll go at Jarvie saying, you're gonna fix the roof and you're gonna pay for the remediation.
Sure, yeah.
You know?
I mean, the frustrating thing is any other industry, if you screw up like that, you've got to fix it and you got to take care of the problems dealt with. I don't know why roofers get away with it. So.
Jorby Roofing, Seattle, Washington.
I'm going to grab the rest of my stuff
Okay,
here.
thanks, James.
Yeah, well,